Hey everybody, it's Katie from Ray & Company Face Painting and Body Art and the Ray & Co Insiders channel. And today we're going to be doing a tutorial, a rainbow tutorial. This is going to be a beginner tutorial with basic supplies. So let me get those out for you guys so you can see what we're going to be working with today. Okay, so first of all, we have our brushes. So we're going to be working with the Silly Farm Classic Brush Collection. This ranges anywhere from like $25 to $30. And this is it comes with the 3/4 inch flat brush, a filbert brush, a nice filbert brush. It's called the Big Drop brush. It also comes with something called the Pretty Petal brush. And that makes really awesome flower petals. And then we also have the three round brushes. So we've got a 4, a 4, a 3, and a 1. So it's a really nice, well-rounded brush collection and great option for anybody who's just starting face painting. And so, what we're going to do today is we're going to work with those brushes, and then we're also going to work with a Mr. Bottle. Cheap Mr. Bottle. I recommend having a couple of these in your kit just in case they break on you when you're on the job. I like using these petal sponges, and I have a handful of these half round sponges. So we'll probably be using some of those. Always, if at minimum, if you can have some iridescent holographic glitter, cosmetic, that's always a really great way to just create a wow factor for your designs. And then today I'm just doing line work with a tag regular white and tag regular black. I don't know if you guys can see that, but tag regular white, tag regular black. If you are interested in building your own first face painting kit, I do have this How to Build Your First Face Painting Starter Kit on my website. You can find that at rayfaceart.com/learn. And then today, in terms of paints, even though I have quite a large selection of paints, we're going to use a basic 12 color starter palette. So the one shown in this picture is a tag 12 color starter palette. I think it ranges anywhere from $35 to $45. If you want to check out my journey on how I built my kit over time, you can check out this guide on my website. All right, so I also have a couple water wipes handy, and this is not an affiliated, any sort of affiliate link or anything like that, product endorsement. But anyway, I like using the water wipes brand because they don't have very much ingredients. So let's get started. We're going to do a rainbow today. So one of the things that I want to do is I'm going to start off with my Big Drop brush. And we're going to be working on this guy right here. So we'll zoom in there. Now rainbows can be challenging because when you have basic supplies and maybe you don't have a lot of brushes, maybe this is the only brush set you have, the rainbows have every color in them, right? So we need to still find some way to make this design quick and utilize as few brushes and colors as possible to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm taking that Big Drop brush, I just loaded up some red, and now I'm going to go ahead and rinse my brush out, and I'm going to go ahead and load up some yellow, or I'm going to load up some light blue. So usually in a 12 color palette there will be like a dark blue and a light blue. And so we'll load up some blue, and we're going to leave just a little bit of a gap underneath the red. And we'll load up some blue here. Okay, and it doesn't have to be perfect. We're going to be wiping some of this away anyway. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to find a petal brush, or not a petal brush. I'm going to find a petal teardrop sponge, I'm sorry, losing my words today. And I'm gonna go ahead and spritz my yellow off camera here. And I'm gonna pinch, so I'm gonna use the heel of the sponge. And I'm just gonna like pinch like this, almost folding it in half. And so that I have sort of this nice, soft, round edge. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I'm gonna be using this area right here. So I'll load it up with some yellow. And in the meantime, you know, the red and the blue has been drying on the child's face, which is okay because we're loading up this yellow. And I'm gonna test it on my skin first to see if it's like relatively dry. Then we're just gonna come in here and we're gonna go over both of those colors. And we're just gonna dab it and keep dabbing until it blends into a nice rainbow. Okay, so there we go. We have a nice rainbow, and that's a pretty quick way to achieve a rainbow with, you know, sort of basic supplies. Now, next thing we're gonna do is we're going to cheat a little bit. We're gonna use a baby wipe on the job. I've done this before, and this is a great eraser. So we're gonna create sort of an area for these clouds to come in, and there's no real right or wrong way to do this. Just make a swoop and another swoop and clean up that area. And then we're going to do it over here as well. You can also clean up your rainbow here if you need to. And then we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to do a swoop and another swoop. So it's hard to paint white over color because it wants to bleed. And so you need to, when you can, sort of remove that color so that your white stays nice and opaque and vibrant. All right, so I'm going to rinse off my blue big drop brush here and load up some white. All right, so we're going to come in here. We're going to load up some white. Give it a little spritz to activate it. And I'm just going to use the flat side of my brush like this. And I like to do these clouds. You can kind of see it in a triangle. So heading towards this focal point. Let me zoom in over here. So you can kind of see that these clouds are in the shapes of triangles. And we're kind of making this line go towards the center of the eyebrows right here. So we're just going to go like this. I see the area where I gave myself some space and another area where I gave myself some space, being careful not to reactivate that paint. Otherwise I'll have pink clouds. And then I'm just going to take one of these sponges. It doesn't have to be the half round. It can be another teardrop sponge if that's all you've got. And we're just going to blend out this cloud. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing to the other side. So I'm just going to get a little bit more white. And we're going to come in here. And I have two areas where I gave myself some room. So I'm just going to kind of do a big one up here, and then one right here, and then one right here. Okay. And then I'm just going to come back in here with my sponge again. I'm not even using a new sponge, just it's the same kid. So I'm going to go ahead and use the same sponge just to feather that out. Okay, so we have our two clouds. And as a final detail for rainbows, what I like to do is I'm going to take a number 4 round, load up some white, Just gently loading it. And I like to create just some little dots. It's kind of like sparkles in the rainbow. And then you can also, if you have time, outline your clouds. You're gonna have to be careful not to go into your other paint. And that can be just a nice way to add a little bit of crispness to the clouds. And you can put some dots in there too, in random areas. And then I like to put some dots on the cheek. Just some little freckles. And finally, we'll do a couple little stars. So for stars, anytime you do line work, whether it's the outlining on the clouds or these dots, if you can try to keep your brush as perpendicular to the surface as possible, you'll have greater control. So for stars, you literally just start in the middle and kind of flick out. And start in the middle and flick out, go back to the middle, flick out, and flick out. My brush isn't quite wet enough. I'm going to go ahead and give it a rinse off camera here. And reload it a little bit. Okay. So here we go. We're going to go back and we're going to do one in the cloud here. And we can do one on the cheek. And maybe one over here. And there we go. So this really wraps up the cloud tutorial. So this is a great on-the-job rainbow that you can achieve with very basic supplies. And when I say on the job, I'm primarily meaning if you're a beginner and you're doing volunteer gigs, like I said, or maybe you're doing a contract event where it's primarily paid by the hour, so it's free to the public and you have long lines. This is a good sort of basic rainbow design that you can do. Now, one of the things that you could, or one of the ways that you could modify this is you could do a cloud here on the eyebrow and bring a rainbow down the side by the eye, and then it would be just like a half face design. So then that would be even quicker, so that you wouldn't have to do two clouds. So it's easily adapted, but you would just use the same techniques. So you could create a little, you could even start the rainbow over here, go around the eye, and then erase it with your baby wipe so that the cloud kind of goes in between and looks like the rainbow's going behind it. So anyway, that's an easy way to adapt it. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this tutorial. And like I said, if you are curious about starting your own kit, you can head over to rayfaceart.com/learn or look for a link in the description. And we'll see you next time. All right, take care.